Okay, everybody, and welcome to this monthly presentation of the class of the verification platform. This presentation is focused on some of the most interesting new features that are now finally available in ECLAIR 3.13. So, my name is Simone, and I'm a file application engineer at BUGSENG. During the previous monthly presentation, I already introduced you to ECLAIR 3.13. So we have already seen together how ECLAIR can be interfaced with GitLab, the integration with MPLABX, that's the IDE from Microchip, and the deviation parameters, and how to manage SPDX identifiers using ECLAIR. Today, instead, I will show you other new features that we haven't discussed in the past presentation, and they are the interface with DevOps and IDEs. And in this presentation, I will show you examples with GitHub and CLion. I will introduce you to our rationale-based classification of MISRA, of the MISRA guidelines, and how to use this classification to organize the MISRA compliance activities. I will show you a new service, B.MACROS, and the ECLAIR format tool. The presentation will therefore be useful for both those who are already users of the tool, as you can stay up to date with the most recent addition of the class of the verification platform, but also for those who are looking into evaluation of the tool. One last thing, we will dedicate the last 10 minutes of this presentation to an answer and question. So, let's start. During the last decade, continuous integration and deployment system have become an essential part of every professional development. Nowadays, carrying out a project without batteries that run at each commit is very uncommon, especially in safety and security critical projects. This should not be limited to integration or unit testing, but it should also include static analysis. So when someone introduces, I don't know, a MISRA violation in the project, safety managers need to immediately know that and act as soon as possible in the most efficient way. So ECLAIR can be used in many ways, and one of them is by the command line. This is very important because this makes the tool, the ECLAIR software verification platform, suitable to be seamlessly integrated to any continuous integration system. In particular, in ECLAIR 3.13, we have improved the support for two of the most popular versioning services. They are GitLab and GitHub. So the past presentation we have seen GitLab, and today we will have a look to GitHub. So this is our website, and in our website we have a demonstration section called eclairit.com, and to access to this section you just have to click here on this eclairit.com link, and now you can find demonstration servers for these three continuous integration system, and they are Jenkins, GitLab, and GitHub. So let's click on GitHub, and this is the main page of the demonstration repository on GitHub, sorry, and you can immediately see that here we have a couple of badges. So let me increase the size. Okay, so each badge is an analysis triggered by the continuous integration system, and we have two lines of badges because we have two different kinds of analysis: the ECLAIR normal and the ECLAIR final analysis. Okay, they both perform the same kind of analysis, The only difference is that ECLAIR final also generates a wide range of reports, and for these reasons, we have decided that this particular analysis is not automatically triggered by a commit, but it should be manually triggered by the user. So because artifacts are not always needed, so and for this reason we have decided that this should be a manual action and not a commit action as the ECLAIR normal. Okay, and then for each row we have 2 different pages. Okay, the reason is very simple, because this project has 2 branches, and we have an analysis for each branch of this report, of this repository. Okay, now let's focus to a single badge. So here we have a green section, and in this green section we have differential results respect than the previous analysis. So in this case we are talking about the previous commit, and now we know that this last commit has fixed 2 violations and has introduced 0 new violation, and this means that remains still 32 unfixed violations. Okay, if I click on the badge, I can go directly to the results of the analysis. Here I have the same information that we have seen in the badge, but I have also other information like the commit ID, the ID of the pipeline, and very important, we have 2 links. Let me increase a little bit it. 2 links, one to the previous database and the other one to the current database. This could seem weird for someone, but the reason is that only in the previous database we can see the 2 fixed reports, and only in the current one we can see the current reports. Of course, in both databases we can see the unfixed reports that are common. Okay, and then we can also navigate. We can go to the previous, to the next analysis. So now I'm navigating the analysis. Okay, and here we can see that we have 4 new violations. So this means that this commit has introduced 4 new findings. So, and now let's suppose that I want just focus my attention on the 4 new reports. I have to click on the current database, and then this is the interactive report view of ECLAIR. This is the exactly same interface that you have when using ECLAIR locally. So if you use continuous integration systems, you will have the same features and the same family feeling you have when using ECLAIR locally. So there is no downgrade, no limitation. Everything is up to the maximum level of feature of the ECLAIR software verification platform. Okay, let's jump directly to the results. Okay. Before I said that I won't just focus my attention on the new reports. In fact, now I'm creating a selection. I call the selection new reports, and I'm showing only the reports where in the previous database they are missing. And now I can see that the major part of the findings are hidden, and the tool is only showing me the 4 new violations, and 2 comes from this rule, this MISRA rules, rule 14.4, and the other two comes from rule 10.7 and rule 12.2. Okay, now let's return to the GitHub repository. And now I want to show you the action section. Here we can see all the pipelines triggered by ECLAIR. And if I go on a specific analysis, for example, this one, comply by adding cast to void. So this is a commit addressed to fix violation of rule 17.7. From this page, I can download the artifacts. So I can decide which kind of artifacts I want to produce. I can produce artifacts in PDF formats, in DOC format, in Excel format, and so on. We have we support a lot of different formats from different companies and different standards. But here we have also the same information about the analysis we have seen before, with a direct link to browse the analysis results as we did before. If I click here, I can see the logs of the analysis if I need to see something special. And if I go back, and now I want to talk about another interesting feature of GitLab, and this kind of services, that are the concept of pull request. Okay, let me go to the pull request section. We have a pending pull request that's called the MISRA fixes. Okay, of course, as the name suggests, this pull request is intended to provide fixes to MISRA violation on the main branch of the repository. And the pull request is submitted by this user here, Ballari. Now, for each commit on the source branch of the pull request, an analysis is triggered, but not on the source branch of the pull request, but on the result of the merge between the source and the target branch. So the analysis is computed on the result of the pull request and not on the source branch. So, and this is very useful. I mean, at least for the person that is in charge to evaluate and eventually approve the pull request, because he can immediately see the quality of the work that is submitted by Spallari. And for example, he can say, or she can say, hey, Ballari, you have introduced 10 new violation of MISRA. Your work is good, but please fix the violation, then I will be able to approve the pull request. Then the user will will commit additional work to the pull request. New analysis will be triggered with the new results, and then the reviewer can see the new results and ask something else to the developer or approve the pull request. Okay, and yes, if your workflow is based on pull request or merge request, this can be a very usable feature to have in your continuous integration system. Okay, so that's all for GitHub. Now let's move to another new feature of ECLAIR 3.13. That's the support for the CLion IDE from JetBrains. This is not the only new supported IDE. ECLAIR 3.13 adds support also for all NetBeans-based IDEs, and this, of course, includes MPLABX from Microchip, and the new version of ECLAIR also adds support for all IntelliJ-based IDEs, including, of course, CLion. That's, at least in my opinion, it's a very nice IDE that I strongly suggest for C and C++ development. Okay, but by the way, let's have a look to CLion. Okay, this is the IDE. The IDE is already open on one of our demo projects, and the demo project is already available along with many others in our demonstration website. So you will be able to test what you will see in this presentation by yourself. And I strongly suggest you to do that, to go in depth with the features of ECLAIR 3.13. So, and now let me talk a little bit about the demo project. The demo project is called CRC. It's a very tiny C project written by Michael Barr in order to demonstrate its scoping standard, Barr C 2018. But the project is in the public domain, and I have made a couple of minor changes to make it more interesting for this presentation. Okay. The project is very tiny, as you can see here. So we had just 5 C files, 2 header files, and 3 C files. And here you can see that I have already installed the ECLAIR plugin. You can find all the instructions to install the plugin on the manual. This is the first step when you will evaluate the demo project. And the second step is to enable the plugin. I already done it, but you can simply do it by clicking on this enable button. And when I have the plugin enabled, I can start the analysis of the project directly from the IDE. I have to click on this Tools menu, and here you will find ECLAIR Tools, and you can see that we have 4 different kinds of analysis. The first one is called ECLAIR Single Transition Unit, STU, and this is not a complete analysis of the project. This analysis avoids all the project and program-wise analysis. So this is a faster version for have a quick feedback about your work. And then we have a ECLAIR Full that instead is a complete analysis of the project. So of course is heavier respect than the single translation unit version. We have ECLAIR Final, that's the exactly same analysis of ECLAIR Full. The only difference is that this analysis also computes a wide range of records. And the final one is ECLAIR File that analyzes only the currently open file. Okay, and then of course this project can be built in 3 different variants. With this entry, I can select which build variant I want to use for the analysis, and if I avoid to specify anything, the default value will be used. I can specify the rule set. I can define different rule set. For example, the default one for the demo project is MISRA C 2012. but if I want, I can run the analysis against AutoSAR or another coding standard supported by ECLAIR. Okay, let's run an analysis of the project. Okay, as I said before, sorry. Okay. As I said before, the project is very tiny, so the analysis is very fast. Now we can see that ECLAIR is intercepting the tool chain and analyzing the single position units. And now the analysis is finished, and your default browser will appear with the results of the analysis. So this is the same interface we have seen before. We have a couple of tables with summary information about the project and analysis, but probably the most interesting table is this last table here. And now we can see that this project contains 11 cautions and 129 violations. So let's jump to the results. And let's have a look to some of the findings reported by ECLAIR. Let's start with this B.MACROS. This is a new service introduced in ECLAIR 3.13, and this service shows you all the macro expansion in your code. So a typical C project contains a lot of macros. The standard library itself makes an easy use of macros, and this is especially true in embedded systems. So there are many reasons for that. One of them is portability. So macros allow you to write code that can be automatically adapted to different targets at compile time, and also a different build variants. So you can use the very same source code for different architectures. The only difference is how macros are expanded. So understanding such a code, such a generic code with a lot of macros can be quite challenging if we don't know how the macros will be expanded. So this is the reason why we have decided to implement this service. Let's see a couple of reports that are not violation, so they are information reports. For example, this initial reminder here, it's a macro that is defined multiple times in the source code. Here is, for example, we can see at least 2 definitions of this macro, and the macros is defined depending on a specific macro. In this case, we are in the sharp if branch defined CSC_32, and this is a way to create multiple build variants of the project. And for example, now the tool is saying that this specific definition of the initial reminder macro is used. And now we can understand the code better with this information. So in real-world project with a lot of macros and with different build variants where the project configuration is not so trivial, a service like this one can be very useful. Okay, now let's move to another new feature of ECLAIR 3.13. That's the rationale-based classification of the MISRA guidelines. So the classification itself is not something new. We have presented for the first time this proposal of classification during Embedded World, the edition of the 2022. But in this release of ECLAIR, we have introduced a way to automatically organize all the violation according to our classification. So let me just introduce you to the rational classification. And you have to consider that this is a very tiny project, and here we have just 129 violations from MISRA guidelines. And this number is completely unrealistic for an average project, and professional or not. And in a real world project, especially if it wasn't initially intended for being MISRA compliant, we can have 10,000 or more violation. And for example, we did a consulting work for the Zephyr real-time operating system, and they had more than initially, of course, 1 million violation. As you can imagine, such amount of records can easily overwhelm any organization in the world. So a proper adoption of MISRA requires embracing its preventive approach and a documented development based on justifiable non-compliances, where justifiable non-compliances are authorized and recorded as deviations. So MISRA guidelines are, in our proposal, classified along several axes according to their main rationale. So MISRA, the guidelines are already classified in the official MISRA documentation, but our rationale classification is completely orthogonal to the MISRA classification. So you can use both classification at the same time. And the advantage of this new classification is that you can organize and prioritize the compliance work you have to do on the categories that are more interesting for the nature and the objectives of your organization. And now I want to show you how you can do that. If you click here in rows, you will see that here we have this MBR tag. MBR stands for MISRA rationale-based classification. And now we can see that both the Sunburst chart and also the tabular view below has been updated to include the information about the classification. And I strongly suggest you to start on the classification that are most interesting for you. For example, this section is dedicated to documentation. There are several MISRA guidelines that talk just about you have to document this aspect and this other aspect. And maybe you are not interested on this specific rule, and you can entirely deviate this section of the MISRA guidelines. And so if you control click on this section here, you can see that we have just violation and caution from this service here. And now you can decide to start or to delete this particular section. A full explanation of all categories we have introduced are freely available in the paper in which where we have introduced a classification, and you can download the paper from our website. You have to click on resources, documentation, and here you will be able to find the rationale-based classification of MISRA guidelines. And this is the same paper we have presented on Embedded World 2022. Okay, now let's return to the results of the analysis. And let's jump on a MISRA violation. And for example, let me remove this rational classification. Let's have a look to the violation of rule 10.4. Okay, here we have 20 violations. So each of these red bars are violation. And then, as you can see, for each violation, we have many areas. And this is because the tool always tries to provide you with all the information you need to completely understand and fix the violation. So, for example, let's see what the rule says. Okay, both operand of an operator in which the usual arithmetic conversion are performed shall have the essential type category. And so let's see what we have here in the first violation. So this is a comparison where usual arithmetic conversion are involved. And the first operand of the comparison is a variable called dividend, and it has type 32-bit unsigned integer. Instead, the second operand of the comparison has type 32-bit signed integer. And so this mismatch between integer, between signed integer and assigned integer is the reason of the violation. So it is not true that both operand has the same essential type category. And as you can notice, the second operand is more complex than the first one because it's a sum between a macro and a variable. And since this violation involves macros, the ECLAIR will also show you the code after the preprocessing. And now we can immediately see that the macros has been expanded to this integer literal 256, and this integer literal has no suffix. So this means that since this value can be stored on an integer literal with sign, a signed integer literal will be used. And probably this is one of the reasons why the signed integer, why the second operand has a signed integer type. Of course, then we have to check also the type of the extra elements variable. But this is not all. So the tool also provides you with the location where the macro is defined. And now we immediately know where we have to amend the code to fix the violation. So let's do that. And I want to do that using the integration with CLion. So I just have to click Control and to press Control and click to the link where the macro is defined. And now you can see that this bar is in red. This means that now the IDE has been redirected to the location of the area here in this console. I can see all the information of the report. I can navigate them area per area. I can go to the next one using this button. I can go to the previous one. I can add deviation commit if I want to deviate the evaluation instead of fixing it. And I can go to the first one. So I can do different things. So here, the most trivial way to fix it is to force this integer literal to have unsigned type, and I can do it adding trailing U. And then this is the other variable involved in the second operand, and it has type int, but I want to force it to have unsigned type. Okay, now I can save and rerun an analysis. So before we had 20 violation, and now I expect to have less than 20 violation. Okay, ECLAIR is analyzing the project. Okay, the analysis is finished. I can return to the interactive report view, and now in fact I can see that I have a 19 violation instead of 20, and the first one of course is a different one. So we have fixed the violation. Okay, now this presentation was done using the demo for CLion and CLion, but of course all plugins for the supported IDEs work in the same way. They always have the same features and the same family feeling. So if you are using a different IDE, don't worry, you will have the same experience. So we support Visual Studio Code, all Eclipse-based IDEs. We support NetBeans IDEs. We support IntelliJ and all IntelliJ-based IDEs like this one. We support Emacs and many others. Okay, so the last topic of today is another tool delivered with ECLAIR that is called ECLAIR format. This is not exactly a new feature of ECLAIR 3.13, but it was already present in ECLAIR 3.12. But the reason why I'm introducing you to this new tool is that we have decided to extend ECLAIR format to be able to accept custom definition provided by the user. So ECLAIR format is just a beautifier, and by default, the beautifier will format your code using the coding style that described by Michael Barr in his coding standard. And so here we have an example. So this code is intentionally written with a lot of styling errors. For example, here we have here we should have a space. Here we are using two spaces for the indentation. Here instead we are using a tab. Here we are using for spaces. Here we have an extra space. No space here. A very long comment that is more than 80 characters. Okay, so Michael Barr wants that this the start of the block is the next line and not in the same line of the function name. So here there are many problems with the coding style. Okay, so we have and now let's use ECLAIR format to fix all these errors. So it's very simple. I have just to call ECLAIR format and providing the name of the file that's in the same directory, and its name is b.c. Okay, no errors, and now we can see that the code has been rewritten to comply with the coding style written by Michael Barr. So yeah, now we can see that we have the space, the graph indentation has been fixed, same indentation for character for spaces. Also here we have the graphs. No extra space here. The long comment has been written in 2 lines instead than a single one. So everything has been fixed according to the Michael Barr coding standard, coding style. And this, of course, was possible also with ECLAIR 3.12. But the new thing is that every aspect about the beautifier now can be customized. So you can decide that you prefer this style of indentation instead to the one wanted by Michael Barr. You can decide that 80 characters is too long for you, and you want 70 characters instead 80. You can decide to indent with 2 spaces or with a tab. Of course, it is not suggested. So everything is customizable, and some users have requested this possibility, and we have decided to implement it in this new release of ECLAIR 3.13. Okay, this was the last topic. Thanks everybody for the attention. And for any further question, please, now we have a Q&A section. So I asked to Valentina if we have a question.
Simone, many thanks for your presentation. So let's start reading the questions. So first one, is it difficult to integrate ECLAIR within GitHub, other supported CI systems?
Okay. No, it's not difficult. You of course you must be familiar with GitHub and its continuous integration features. Especially you have to be familiar with the GitHub syntax for creating pipelines, but it's not difficult at all. And in any case, you can start with the default configuration we have in the demonstration project. So you can simply go to the demonstration website, the one I used before for the presentation, and you can simply download all the files for the pipeline configuration. But if this is not sufficient, we offer consulting services where one of our file application engineers will join forces with your team to set up all the continuous integration infrastructure. And about the other supported IDEs, yes, I've said before, ECLAIR is a command line tool, so it can be integrated with all the with all the continuous integration systems. So every continuous integration system is supported by basically.
Then I have ECLAIR and the MISRA package. Is ECLAIR format included in that version of the tool?
Yes, ECLAIR format is included by all deliveries of ECLAIR with all licensing. So you will always have ECLAIR format.
Okay, thanks. Hi, for building our project, we use a Docker container. Does ECLAIR support that?
Yes, ECLAIR has no problems with Docker containers. ECLAIR can be easily installed on a container and used as usual. So in any case, also for Docker, we have demo projects. And I strongly suggest you to download one of our demo projects based on Docker and follow the instruction on the README file. And here you have all the information and the templates to use to set up ECLAIR in a Docker file, in a Docker container.
Okay, thank you. Is there an extension available on Atlassian Marketplace for Bamboo and or Bitbucket?
Okay, now we don't have an extension for in the Atlassian Marketplace, but because our integration with continuous integration system is completely independent by the specific system you are using. So the same integration scripts can be used with GitHub and Bitbucket or Jenkins or other tools. So you do not need a specific integration.
Is the tool standalone or web-based?
Okay, so the tool is standalone. You can download the ECLAIR software verification platform on your machine, but we also offer as a service version of ECLAIR. So you have just to provide the BUGSENG with your project, and we will set up a continuous integration system that will run an analysis at each commit on your repository, and then you will be able to navigate and use the results using a web-based approach. So as I show you with the GitHub integration, you will have something similar if you use GitHub, or instead you will, if you use Jenkins, we will use Jenkins. You can navigate all the reports with the browsers, with your browser. And we also have a minimal version of ECLAIR that is called ECLAIR Client Kit that you can download. And the client kit contains only the plugins for the IDEs. So you can install the plugin, and then the plugin will directly fetch the results from the internet. So you don't need to have ECLAIR installed locally, and you don't need to set up an infrastructure. Everything is done by BUGSENG.
What type of reporting does it provide? Does it support an XML format, JUnit style?
Okay, ECLAIR supports a wide range of different formats, and you can see all the formats ECLAIR is able to produce by going to our website. Here you have an ECLAIR menu, and here you can find sample reports. In this page, we have script all the kind of reports you can generate, and here we have also example of reports in various formats. For example, this is the ODT and DOC format. Here we have the HTML format. We have formats in pure text style and Excel format, and so on. Moreover, we have we can produce the reports also in machine readable formats. We support. We have an XML-based format, also a JSON-based format, I'm not aware about this JUnit style, but if you are interested in that, we can think to provide support also for this JUnit style. But in any case, we have different format based on XML and also JSON.
Thanks, Simone. I think we have the last two questions. So, would it be possible to run it from command prompt for a batch execution?
It's possible. So this is the reason why ECLAIR is can be so easily integrated with continuous integration system. So ECLAIR can be entirely used by the command line with no limitation. And in Linux, you can use every kind of shell system you like, batch, command prompt, PowerShell. Yes, the answer is yes.
Last one. Can we integrate these tools to ER compiler?
ER compiler is one of the supported toolchain. So yes, you can very easily.
Okay, many thanks, Simone. That was the last one for today.
So thanks everybody again for attending today's presentation. And if you have any further question, please you can drop us an email to info@bugseng.com. If you like the outputs and how the tool works, then you can move on and request a 30-day trial evaluation license on our website. There is a form for requesting an evaluation of the tool, and the evaluation is fully featured, so to allow you to really test the tool in your environment and experiment all the features of it. Okay, thanks again, and see you the next presentation of the class software verification platform.